You will regret the things you never started. The things that hurt the most in life are not always the things that failed. Sometimes, the biggest pain comes from the things you never tried, the dream you ignored, the chance you avoided, the version of yourself you never allowed to exist. There was a man named Ethan. For most of his life, Ethan believed he was being careful. He thought he was making smart decisions. He avoided risks, he avoided failure, he avoided situations where he might lose. And because of that, he thought he was protecting himself. But years later, he realized something painful. He was not protecting his life. He was slowly shrinking it. Ethan always had ideas. He wanted to create something. He wanted to travel. He wanted to become stronger. He wanted to build a life that felt meaningful. But every time he wanted to start, fear appeared. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not good enough? So he waited. He waited for confidence. He waited for the perfect timing. He waited until he felt ready. But confidence never came before action, and the perfect moment never arrived. The years continued moving, and Ethan kept telling himself the same thing. Later. I still have time. I will do it someday. But someday is a dangerous word, because it feels like a promise, but often becomes an excuse. One day, Ethan met an older man who asked him a simple question. What is the biggest thing you regret? Ethan expected himself to answer quickly. Maybe a mistake, maybe a wrong decision, maybe a failure. But after thinking for a moment, he said something unexpected. I regret the things I was too afraid to do. The older man stayed quiet. Then he said, most people are afraid of failing, but many people never realize. The greater failure is living a life where you never discover what you are capable of. Those words stayed with Ethan, because he understood something. Failure leaves a lesson, but regret leaves a question. What if? What if I had started? What if I had tried? What if I had believed in myself a little more? Those questions can follow someone for years. Because when you fail, you can try again. You can learn. You can improve. But when you never begin, you never even get the chance to become someone different. Ethan started looking back at his life. Not with anger, not with sadness, but with honesty. He saw all the moments he chose comfort over growth, the opportunities he ignored, the ideas he abandoned, the dreams he convinced himself were unrealistic. And he realized something. The biggest obstacle was never outside of him. It was the voice inside his mind telling him to wait. Because fear does not always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like being practical. Sometimes it looks like being realistic. Sometimes it sounds like, maybe next year, you can do it later. Now is not the right time. And slowly, those words become a prison. Ethan finally decided to do something different. He stopped asking, what if I fail? And started asking, what if I never try? That question changed everything. Because a difficult attempt is still a step forward, but a life spent waiting keeps you exactly where you are. He started small. Not because he had no ambition, but because every transformation begins with one decision, one action, one moment where you stop negotiating with your fear. Slowly, Ethan changed. Not because life became easier, but because he became stronger. He learned that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving while fear is still there, and that is something most people forget. They wait to feel fearless, but nobody does. The people who change their lives are not people who never doubt themselves. They are people who decide that their future is more important than their fear. Years later, Ethan looked back, and he was not proud because everything worked perfectly. Many things did not go as planned. Some attempts failed. Some paths ended. But he was grateful, because he finally gave himself a chance, and that was something his old self never did. The truth is, one day, You will look back at this exact moment of your life. You will remember the decisions you made, the risks you avoided, the chances you ignored, and the question will be simple. Did you move toward the life you wanted, or did you keep waiting for a better time? Because time does not wait for confidence. Time does not wait for permission. Time keeps moving, and every day you delay, you're trading a piece of your future for temporary comfort. You do not need to know every step. You do not need a perfect plan. You only need enough courage to begin, because the person you want to become is not created by thinking about change. They are created by choosing it. Now allow your mind to become quiet. Let go of the fear of being imperfect.